you put me up against any Harvard MBA leader, and you tell both of us that you need to be an authentic leader, and you give them the how, I'm still better than them because I have something they don't have, and I have the incentive. If I don't do the things that I think make great leaders, if I don't do those things, I'll die. And you know what? That's a hell of a fucking incentive. That's a lot better than I want a promotion. I'll lose my wife, my daughter, my house. Like, I don't go to my home group on Wednesdays and Friday nights because I want to keep my role as CEO. I do it because I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my life. I don't want to die. And so I have a unique incentive. And I think that one of the things that really pisses people off is when I say I'm grateful I'm an addict, and they say, "Don't you mean recovering addict?" I say, I thank God for my addiction before I ever start talking to them about recovery.
Why should businesses be looking to former addicts to lead them or to place them into leadership roles?
Because the future will be won by mask-free leaders. And the only talent pool in the world that has been training for mask-free leadership for the last 80 years in every language in every country are recovering addicts.
Wow. So how does recovery from addiction, in your mind, develop leadership skills?
So the first thing is we have to separate what our definition of good leadership is as its own conversation first.
Right.
Because the reason my book is titled Great Leaders Look Like Drug Addicts is it's designed to be a double entendre. The majority of the quote unquote great leaders in the world are obsessed with getting what they want, and that's success. The majority of drug addicts are obsessed with getting what they want, and that is drugs and alcohol and getting high or whatever they're addicted to, sex, drugs, gambling, whatever. And the problem is that those are the largest examples that we have of what those things are. Vulnerable, authentic leaders go first because they have to set the tone. So all this rambling to say that I genuinely believe, and I've gone and I've done workshops, coaching, and speaking.
Yeah.
All of these companies are services companies, which means the majority of their value is based off of how human beings think, feel, and act.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the ability to lead without a mask is the competitive advantage that is available to everybody right now. And the problem is that leaders are not taught this. They are taught all the other shit. And then they read a book from Brene Brown that says, oh, here's what you should do. And here's why it's important, but they don't have the how. Addicts have the how. And leaders aren't trained to do that. They're not trained to practice rigorous authenticity, going back to the TED Talk. They're trained to pretend that they don't have feelings. They're trained to pretend that they don't make mistakes, that they have confidence in what they're doing. And that made sense when no one was responsible for actually determining how we solve problems. But now that we want everybody to be a fucking leader, we've lost the ability to lead them because the leaders leading us aren't leading themselves, because leading ourselves would be taking an unpopular stance, would be being truthful, would be doing the thing that's unpopular. And right now leaders are obsessed with their followers and they're not leading themselves, because leading yourself would say, I'm Mike, I'm a drug addict, and it doesn't matter what you think. Right? That's what a leader would do. I'll tell you about Pablo Picasso. He reinvented art, not based off of what people thought. Rosa Parks, Abraham Lincoln, not based off of what other people think, but because we now have all these tools that allow us to see what the herd values and allow us to have the feedback loop of what the herd thinks, we are actually manipulating all the information to create survival for us by showing how strong and smart and awesome we are, when the inverse is the opportunity for great leadership, but it starts with leading yourself. And so a lot of people don't recognize this trend. It's the old white male power structure, command and control power structure. And it's this stiff upper lip thought process. And meanwhile, those that lead with authenticity, so I call it wearing a mask. And when you live mask free, You lead yourself. And when you lead yourself, you actually connect with others. But the only people, like, man, there are so many entrepreneurs and so many, different business people that I know that have all these fancy degrees that I don't have, but I'm the only person that I know that's put 10,000 hours into this shit.
Wow.
And I didn't do it, right? I didn't do it in getting in my MBA. I don't have a college degree. I did it at a free meeting where there's bad coffee. And I did it for 2,000 times, right? And so I think that, one of the biggest things I'll say in my keynote is don't ever, ever, ever tell an addict what to stop. Telling us what to stop does not help us in the least. The only time someone gets clean or gets in recovery is when you tell them what to start instead. Well, right now, when it comes to leadership, we're telling people we're telling them to stop being inauthentic, stop hiding the truth, stop pretending that you're stronger than you are. No one's telling them what to start instead.
Right.
And we have an 80-year head start on that capability. So if you buy into the larger narrative around authentic leadership, and you wonder why we're talking so much about authenticity, but in my assessment, 90% of leaders are hiding behind a mask. How do you reconcile these two things? It's the same reason why you had drug addicts and alcoholics saying, I want to stop, and family members that want them to stop. And we know why it'd be good to stop, but nobody was stopping. We lacked the how. The only people on this earth that have been systematically trained to practice this crap is us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those of us in recovery are conditioned to lead without a mask. And
Right.
That's what creates great leadership that isn't about work, it's about life.
Right.